Good afternoon, YouTube, as it just reached noon, and we've got a couple small projects I'm just going to touch base on today. I'm not going to go into great detail, and it's because we're getting ready for a trip.
What have you been up to?
I've been riding on a daydream.
So when I woke up this morning, Heidi had already came out and she made coffee because she closes the store today. And we were at, let's see if I can get close enough there. Yeah, we were at 90% humidity. It wasn't very warm. I mean, even now it's only 82, but man, it was so humid this morning. I mean, everything was sticky. Well, let me give you an update on this. First of all, the Valley Truck Outfitters, those guys, man, what a great team so far. They did something that I was shocked about, and that was I got a call back from them. Something as simple as a call, and I got excited about it. They said that after talking with Lear is just as excited about getting this taken care of as they are. Lear is completely on board, and they want to replace, I think, the whole window again because of that hinge coming loose. It's bonded on there, and they don't want to take any chances. So yeah, it's going to take a little while, I'm sure, but I went ahead and submitted some more pictures for them, and yeah, they called me. I didn't have to call and find out what's going on. You guys know some time ago I put these phone mounts, or places to mount phones. Now I have two phone mounts that I need to do. Let me go ahead and tilt this down a little bit. The phone mount that will be on this side will be the one, of course, for my phone, and it will be a charger mount. Basically, when the phone gets clipped in it, it starts charging it wirelessly. The problem is that thing's set up, of course, to be connected to a windshield, and I don't want it on the windshield. I mean, even in the old truck, I had them mounted to the dash, and I want them kind of low. I don't want a bunch of stuff up in my way. So I need to keep everything as low as possible, but I don't want to block the vents, although this air conditioning is so good on this truck, I don't think that's going to be an issue. And it might actually help the phones that, you know, they can blow some cool air on there. So I got to figure out a way to put a mount, or put the mount on here. Let me show you what the mount looks like currently. I'll put a link in the description for this, as these also. I'll put a link for this, and that way you guys can do the same thing if you have a newer F-150 or Super Duty. So here's the mount. I love this mount. It does so many different things really well. First of all, you know, you can mount it like I had it. I used to have it mounted on the dash like this, basically, and then had the phone kind of pointed towards me. The problem was I don't have a spot that will, this suction cup will work. And the suction cup, the reason I have wax paper on it, it comes with some sort of a gel, something that you can clean, and it helps with the adhering on the dash or even on the windshield. Get it to where, you know, you plug the cord into your power port, wherever that may be, which I have a little junction box down there, and you still get another USB. As far as the charging, then, like I said, once I snap my phone in here wirelessly. Now it's not a fast, it's a fast charge, but it's not like the new fast charges with these new Samsung phones. I mean, you can get some crazy wattage out of them. All right, so back to my problem. I can't really put this suction cup on here. Of course, I'm going to try to keep this as compact as possible. I don't, the suction cup, there's too much of it hanging out, and then you can see what's going on here. You know, I don't know. I just don't, it doesn't look right to me, and I can't get the angle that I want. If I turn it sideways here, it's coming awful close to the gear shift. Now it's a little bit too close in my face. I mean, you can kind of get what I'm, you know, getting at here. Now that, you know, you see what my challenge is there, I have another one that's in the RV. I got to go get that one, and that one's going to be even more of a challenge. And yet I have one more thing I want to mount in here, and that's going to be the biggest challenge of all. This is the Wii Boost for the phone. It's a cradle. The thing is this was mounted to the dash of the old truck, and it fell off a couple of times. And the reason that it fell off was not that the 3M tape wasn't sticking to the dash. It was because the 3M tape wouldn't stick to the mount itself, which was really odd. I still to this day not sure exactly why. So I had to put staples on there. to make it work to where the 3M tape would stay up against the mount. The challenge with this one though is, as I'm trying to untangle this mess, and again, I did a video on this before, this WeBoost antenna. When we're driving, we get into some remote locations. This does help out. It definitely helps out. This is the challenge here. If you guys don't know, which I've mentioned before, I'm sure most of you do though, the only way this thing mounts on the roof of a vehicle, this is a magnet. And not only is it, you know, magnetic to hold it on the roof, but it also grounds this antenna. You need what they call a ground plane for the signal to be pushed into this antenna, basically reflected into this antenna, so it can gather a signal and it can put it into the antenna, so that the antenna picks up whatever it is that it's supposed to. Of course, this truck, like a lot of the trucks since 2017 from Ford, they're all aluminum, so this doesn't stick up there. Now I do have some 3M stainless or anodized plates that go up there. There's some sort of a metal, and I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to end up putting this on the roof and running the cable, you know, again through the door. But yeah, this one's not as bad, and I really like this. It does help. I wouldn't go through all this trouble if it didn't help. This definitely boosts the signal. And again, it has a little short USB cable, so you can run right out of this and into your phone. So not only is it boosting it, but then it's also charging it too, you know, through the USB. So let's get into the next thing I was just mentioning. First of all, I've got this power port down here. It's got a couple of USB cables. This thing works really well. I don't remember what this was for. Oh yeah, that's auxiliary, that's power. I got to pull that out. That's for the camera, for the backup camera that needs to go into here. But this tells me my voltage, and again, I've got 4 USBs here, so I can hook up quite a few cables. Plus, these USBs here go direct to the sync, you know, so you can have your Pandora playing and your Waze maps come up on here and navigation and all that stuff. And then of course you have a power port here, and you've got, you know, this here. It's a lot of nice features, a lot of nice things here, but to organize all this is really tough because I am putting a lot of junk in here. The other thing that I need to do is find a place for the CB to go. If I had a small enough one, it could sit up in this tray area, but it's a little bit too big, and I really don't want to start drilling on this truck necessarily. And CBs, let's talk about that real quick. Yeah, it's outdated, it's old, it's, you know, there's a lot of truck drivers that don't use them anymore. However, the truck drivers that know, they have them, and it's not a big deal. They're not expensive. They're usually really easy to mount, and you know, you can communicate. I don't know how many times that we've been driving somewhere and we've had like an accident that's come up, or we've been stuck in some sort of a traffic jam, and you just turn on your CB and listen, and they'll tell you what's going on. Hey, you know, this is happening. This is, you know, so many miles back, and it's not going to be until another hour till it clears up, that kind of thing. Not to mention that you can get on the emergency channel on the CB and actually contact the highway patrol or the local police through the emergency channel. But yeah, I've always had a CB. I've had a CB for a long time, going back to when I was 17 years old when I got my first CB in my car. And back then, of course, everybody talked on the CB. It was like an old school Waze app. You could actually talk to people and find out where the police were, find out where accidents were. They tell you if cars were off the road. I mean, that kind of thing. Of course, the Waze app is really good and I like it. But yeah, that's something we want to put in here. Again, the challenge is my magnetic antenna that I used to have mounted on the old truck, of course, don't work on this one. There's other ways to do it too, and the way that I would do it is you remove your third brake light. They give you a bracket that goes in between the brake light and the truck. It has a gasket and everything, and then you re-bolt the brake light back on it, and it puts the bracket up on top of the truck, where you could put a magnetic antenna or mount an antenna. But the problem with that is I have a cap, and I mean the space in between the cap and the truck, the physical cab of the truck, I mean, it's not very much. So that extra space, I don't know if I could do it. Not only that, but then I've got to remove the cap or slide it back to do the installation. I don't want to dork around with that. You see the deal on the cap. I want to leave it just like it is. Don't want to stir anything up. So that's my challenges today. That and I see sweat beasts are just crazy out here. I'll have to be fighting those off too. We'll see what I come up with. Okay, so I'm finding on this charger, the wireless charger mount, the one that I use the most with my phones. Of course, the back is just held in, or it's connected with a 17 millimeter bolt, and I guess that's just like a standard size. So for example, here's my Garmin mount. It's a 17 millimeter bolt. It snaps right in there and you can tighten it up. So what I did is I got online and I found a couple of things on Amazon that look like they might work. We'll come back to that whenever they get delivered, and I'll show you what I came up with. This one here, obviously though, like I said, straightforward, and guess what, that's also a 17 millimeter ball. But this was the situation, or the setup that WeBoosted sent. So basically we have the phone mount mounted to these here, and again I'll put links for all this stuff, and then it's plugged in, of course, to the power port that's down here, and I'll put the link for this too. And the way that I did it was, instead of running a regular plug-in USB looking thing like this, which it came with, something like that, I just plugged it into one of the USB ports that's on here. Again, I have 4 of them now. I got 3 that's being used. So as far as the way it's connected now on the roof, I had to do something I didn't really want to do. I ran the antenna here. It's underneath the mud flap, or the floor mat, as you can see. Not a big deal. It's not really stretched or anything like that. And then I ran it all along here, and then with this door open, you can see it's right there. And again, it's not really getting smashed. I mean, look how soft this is. It's just flimsy. And the only thing I could be concerned with is water getting in, water following this along and getting in. So if that happens, there's some other stuff that you can do to make that go away. But you can see, boom, I can make this kind of a drip here. This is what I'm hoping happens, is it drips or it runs onto this here. So as long as people, getting in and out, I can't imagine why they would be rubbing up in this area, but this should hold pretty steady and it shouldn't move one way or the other. But whenever it's closed, it's relatively tight, and I went ahead and put the metal plate up here. Again, I'll put the links down below for this. It comes with a couple of really strong pieces of 3M tape, some sort of a VHB tape. I went ahead and put a couple extra pieces of 3M trim tape in here too, just to play it safe. And now this is just a big enough ground plane that this antenna should get signal now. Now I've got to be concerned with this antenna interfering. They are kind of close, but it shouldn't be too bad. And I told you how much I like or enjoy having a CB, and I do have these plates, and I could do that to where I just mount these plates. There's 3 of them. It's the same thing that you just saw go up there. I could put those 3 plates spaced such a certain way that I could then use this big magnetic mount that I used to have on my old truck to keep the CB up there. However, I think what I'm going to end up doing is finding a fender mount deal. They make a thing that goes in here, and when I say in here, I'm talking about in between this gap of the hood and the fender, and it basically bolts to the fender. So it bolts on the inside of the fender to one bolt. Then there's a bracket that comes out of this little gap. It's not, you can see the bolt down there, sort of. I don't know if you can catch that or not. I'll try to get you close enough. But basically that bracket comes up, it contours to the inside of the fender, it comes up, and then it comes out, and it has a place then for you to put, obviously, your antenna. And the antenna would go roughly right here then, straight up and down. Now, I know for a fact that that antenna whistles. Whenever it's on the roof, I can hear it whistling, and I know that it would be annoying if I had it right here and it was whistling, but it would get the job done. And the most important thing is I get a quick disconnect on that antenna in there, so I can leave it mounted and the cable mounted and everything else, and I can just twist it and pull it right off and keep it in the truck. That's what I used to do with the magnet, the big magnet antenna mount whenever I would get to places, or I didn't want to take it out because I knew we were going to go camping again. But trust me, it just twists off. It's got a quick release on it. And even our old truck, our old F-150, I used to have it mounted on the side of my cab. It was a no ground plane mount at that point, and it would for the most part, I had it twisted and off. I never had it on the truck unless we were going camping, and then I'd put it in there. Again, I don't need to talk to China. I don't need to talk to Canada as I'm driving. I just need to be able to connect to truckers that are in the area, basically, you know, somewhat close, just to hear what's going on. So we'll see. I'm going to run this by Heidi and see what she thinks, because I think it looks a little dorky myself, but she may say whatever, you know, she might say go for it. Or again, like I said, there's one other option I could do, and that's put a couple of those plates up there on the roof and then get another magnetic mount base for that antenna so I can just mount it up there on the metal. And then the fourth option, which I'm definitely not doing, I'm not drilling the roof of the truck. I just can't do it. I don't feel comfortable with that at all. I have a hard time even drilling into the dash, and I have yet to do that. So when I mount the CB, I'm thinking there's going to be some Velcro involved. We'll have to see. But we'll pick this up whenever I've got those other parts. Let's see what it looks like. Alright, so I haven't got my parts yet. It's only Saturday. However, I've started another project, or getting pieces for the project, I should say. Not started. And it's not just my project either. Let's go look at it real quick. It's 84 degrees, and it just turned noon, and I just got back from Canton. I'm kind of looking at my son's fan because I think I need to pull it down here to make it a little bit easier. But let's show you what we got. Yeah, let's do that. So this is aluminum, and then this is steel. This one's for the son's van. This one's for the back of the RV. Now, I didn't really care for the diamond plate. I'm not that kind of guy. I would have much rather had the black box, but they didn't have any black aluminum. And this is much, much lighter. So you can kind of guess what it's for, right? Well, this tank is not going to get one of these. From what I can tell right now, it's not going to. Probably what's going to happen is this tank will get a I don't know, maybe a plastic container for it to sit in, a crate or something, because you know, I want it protected, I want it locked up. I'm sure I'm going to do something that'll make it to where I can do both of those, but more than that, it needs to be vented real well, and it does need to be protected from the elements, and it doesn't take steel locked boxes for that. So I went over to an unclaimed freight place that's over in Canton. If you guys are watching this from this area, you know where that's at. A lot of construction going on over there, and I wanted to find something for my son so he could put this on the back of his van, which we're going to try that out. And you can see why. I brought my generators over to make sure that they fit. You can hear the feet. Listen, they're like, they're little suction cups. But I wanted to bring over the little generator to see if it would fit. Anyways, these are scratch and dents, and I brought the generators over, and I'm glad I did, because, you know, they tell you the dimensions of the box. Everybody does. You know, you get online, you go to anywhere, Harbor Freight, Northern Tool, DZ, anybody that makes boxes, and they're going to tell you the size of the box. But the problem is I need to know the exact size of the opening and the lip and how wide it is for me to be able to tell if the generator will fit in there. Now, this generator only goes in one way, and that is handle first. You got to tilt it up on end and then put it in that way. It won't go the other way, and there's no way I was going to be able to figure that out without having the generator somewhere, you know, to try it out. And man, I'm glad that I did. Now the cool thing is, if I wanted to, I'm sure, yeah, Buyer's Products Company, I could probably find out where this is, you know, what part number this is. I could probably get another one. That way they can match. And the good thing is they both, you know, they come with keys, so you can lock them up. Same with his. But what I plan on doing at some point again is put something across the back of the RV that this box will be mounted to, and still have room for the gas tank and the other generator if I want to throw it up there and use it. These sweat bees are real bad this year. So I'm going to do a couple things. I'm going to bring my son's van down here. I'm going to put that cargo rack on the back of it just to take a look at what we've got as far as clearance, and put this box on here for him and see how much weight, you know, if it hangs, you know, there's a lot of things we need to look at to determine if it's going to work. But he doesn't even know I bought this for him. I think he'll be happy, because with the extra room that he has in there, of course, he could put, you know, a small gas can too. And then I'll vent it. I'm going to make sure that I vent this thing. In his case, though, I don't plan on him necessarily running the generator in a box. I think in his case, it's one of those things where the generator can come out and he can secure it and run it to do whatever he needs. Safety-wise, as far as security, I'm sure somebody could rip that thing off, reach in with a big chisel and a hammer and bust the lock and take it all away from you, but maybe I'll put extra latches. I don't know. That seems awful. I'm going way out of my way on this to secure it. I think this will be good enough. I went ahead and put his rack on his van. I brought him out here. He's like, hey, I want to leave. And then we got going on something on his batteries. I'll show you that in a second. But his box and the rack, because it's a folding rack, sticks away from the van. Oh, I don't know, maybe about 10 inches. And the funny thing is whenever it folds up, believe it or not, it clears this tire. When that rack folds up, it just clears this tire. You got to wiggle it to get it past the cover, but it'll clear it. So we've got a whole nother slew of problems, and kind of tell, let me show you here. It blocks his license plate, and if his license plate is moved, I have to also illuminate it. So I know there's kits out there. I know I have a trailer plug I can work with down there. It's just I was hoping not to go through all that. The box fits, and of course it fits underneath that tire too. If it was right up against the bumper, which we could do that. I don't know if you can tell, and I don't know if this is going to work back here. You can see how much shaft is there that goes inside the van, and then of course that's the extra length that sticks out from the hitch, including this piece. Well, as far as I can tell, if I unbolt this piece here, just one bolt, and pull this pin, I could slide this directly into his hitch receiver, and he would have, you know, it up against the bumper at that point. When he's on the road, I think that's probably what we're going to do, because there's really no reason for him to fold it up. There's no reason for him to lift it up, especially if we mount that box on there. Now the box works perfect. Like I said, it's a good size. He was wanting to know what else he could put in there, and I said, well, the thing you're going to put in there most likely is going to be the generator for sure, and maybe a gas can. And he says, well, what else can I put back here? And I said, well, you got the whole rack. I said, you could put another tote back here. You know, he don't really know what he's going to be putting back here. But as soon as I said bicycle, he really perked up about that. So yeah, that's basically what we're running into. I don't know if you guys find this very interesting, but his battery isolator is giving us fits all of a sudden. So here's the deal. This blue, I don't know if you can see the color there, that blue means that the circuit is engaged and these two batteries are connected. Well, the ignition has been off for a long time now, so I'm not sure why they're connected still. I haven't figured that out yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect this from the battery and see if it resets itself or something, because he told me that recently his batteries, he's had some weird things going on. Like one day he left his headlights on, and of course if everything's working perfectly out here, no big deal. And I said, so what happened? And he says, well, my battery went dead. Well, at that point he needed a jump start, and I told him, I said, listen, that battery's still good because it's not connected to this one. I said, so all you have to do is just take and put one positive battery cable, jumper cable here, and then hook the other end of that same positive battery jumper cable to this. And I said, once those two are connected, the grounds are common on here. So the fact that both grounds are common, I said, you've now got a good battery that's jump starting your dead battery. Well, he couldn't find his jumper cables, which I think they were left in the garage because I just found them. I don't know if he put them there just recently or it just so happened I found them. And he had to get somebody to actually jump start them. And then he was asking me which battery's the jump start battery. And I told him, well, it's this one. I mean, I put this R here, this RM, was already there originally. And then I highlighted again. I think I'm going to have to write it out for him so he remembers. But they jump started the battery and everything was fine. Everything worked really well, but now you can see it's not working well. So I just called and left a message with the manufacturer about this and asked them, is there any reason why this battery would still be seeing voltage? There's no way this switch turns on unless this shows that it has over 13 volts or something like that for so many seconds. Well, the van isn't on. The van isn't turned on. The key's not on. Nothing's turned on. So I'm not sure why that this switch would still be engaged. You know, whenever I talk to you guys and I show you this kind of stuff and I explain it out in great detail, I get some people that just stumble on the channel and say, man, you could have just put it on there and I would have been happy if you just showed me how it went on there. Well, I'm a firm believer that if you know why it's going on there, and then you know how it goes on there, and then you know how it works, that whenever you have a problem, you don't have to come crawling to somebody and say, I bolted this thing on and now it's not working, fix it. I mean, you could rule out stuff like, oh, I remember when I put this on, this cable was connected here and I see the cable's loose, so that means it needs tightened. I mean, it's just pretty simple stuff. So that's why I'm explaining to you how this stuff works. And hopefully it helps you out if you ever have a problem or if you want to do it yourself. Again, I did a video on this installation. Go check that video out. It's under the Van Dweller build series. I still like it. It's really cool. It's not the best it could be. You know, they make better ones, but matter of fact, I have one. I have a digital one downstairs. And if this one's faulty, you never know. Maybe I'll put that other one on for him because it's just sitting in the basement. Brand new. All right, guys. I think I'm going to cut this short and see what else I can get into. I got the Honda running the air conditioner in the camper to get it real nice and cool in there because, like I said, it's pretty warm today. And even though like 1 o'clock, it was still 74 degrees in the camper. Like I said, it's 80 something out here. And the breeze is helping. All right. Plus, I wanted to run that Honda generator. I love doing that.